Greetings, fellow investigators, and welcome back to our video podcast, Into the Darkness, where my friends and I play the Call of Cthulhu role-playing game. I'm your host, Tom Rayleigh. The scenario is Painted Smile. It was written by Richard Watts and Keith Herber. You'll find it in the collection entitled Tales from the Miskatonic Valley. I'm your game master, and this is episode 2. So, without any further delay, let's continue our journey into the darkness. All right, we all left off in the street down from the Hathaway's house. There's a crowd of people, there is a weeping woman, and there is a red-headed boy lying dead in the street, face down. What do you guys do?
Is that the boy you were talking to, Philip?
Oh dear God! God has smited the devil spawn from this world.
I believe it is.
Remember, there are people standing around you when you say something like that, Philip.
Yeah, he's aware.
Excuse me, folks. I am a doctor. Let me get through, please.
So the police sort of let you through,
and I will show the police my ID badge, and I'll check the boy. Is he dead?
He is dead. Yes. He's lying against the curb with his face in the gutter, and there is, a puddle of water, partly blocked by his body is the reason why it's puddled up. Go ahead.
So I'm just going to check to see, did he, real quickly, obviously he's dead. I look around. How did he die? What happened?
Well, we don't know. I mean, it looks like maybe he tripped and fell and landed in the gutter and didn't get back up again. We don't know medical stuff.
Mm-hmm. Well, I will meet you guys. I will go with you guys with the ambulance since I do belong to the coroner's department, and I'll give you a prompt report.
All right. But you stay standing there for a few moments, and as they pick the boy up to put him on a stretcher and then into the ambulance, you see a fairly large amount of water come out of his mouth from the fact that he was face down in the water.
Okay. It doesn't take a whole lot of water to drown someone. That's true.
All right. So they put him in, and are you all going to go?
Are the children that we saw playing with him before, are they anywhere around?
The parents have taken them into the house. All right. So are you going to go with him, or are you going to go back home, or what are you going to do?
What do you suggest, Doctor? Do you
Well,
want us to accompany?
I don't think I need all of you. I mean, and, besides which, this is now a police matter. Why don't you let me take care of it? I'll meet you guys later on this evening at the Historical Society. Unfortunately, duty calls.
Yeah, I'm a bit shaken up. I could go for maybe a rest at the society.
Yes.
Not to mention, we do have that box of things that the Hathaways gave us to deliver. Let's go ahead and get that sent off. Doctor, we'll be able to hear your little quest into your coronary delvings later.
All right. So Dr. Sprague, you go off with the ambulance to the I guess they would go directly to the morgue. So
right.
That's where you're going to go. When you arrive there, the chief examiner, who is right here. Where did he go? Oh, no, never mind. Never mind. There is no chief examiner. All right.
I think I am the chief examiner.
Right. I think you are the chief examiner. All right.
So I will I'll direct once we get there, the staff, and take the boys carefully in. And I will, over the next probably several hours, do the autopsy.
Okay. There's no reason why you would have to do a medical role because you know what you're doing. It becomes very obvious that he drowned.
Mm-hmm.
There's also a contusion on the back of his head. So apparently something hit him and he fell down. Possibly the other kids didn't realize what had happened, and he suffocated, he drowned. There was a considerable amount of water in his lungs. And as you're examining him, you notice that he is clutching something in one of his hands. When you pry open his hand, he has a small piece of white lace in his hand.
I carefully collect it and put it in an evidence bag.
Other than that, he seems like a perfectly healthy young boy.
I checked out the contusion just to make sure, because typically with this type of thing, it might have been a baseball or something like that. I'm just making sure it fits with the typical.
It's got some unusual shape to it, like maybe a rock. It's got some sharp points to it, so it's not smooth like a baseball.
All right, which still isn't that uncommon. Kids throw rocks at each other.
Right.
And I'm quite sure occasionally a case like this does come up where a kid gets hit or tumbles and this type of incident occurs. But I do write it all up.
Accidents do happen. And afterwards, you were asked by a number of local reporters also what happened to the child so that they can put it in the newspaper for the next day.
And I basically...
Go ahead.
I let them know that it looks like a common accident. Kids were probably playing. Looks like he got hit in the head while playing. Fell. Probably the other kids didn't realize he fell in a puddle, and before he realized it, he had drowned. I don't suspect any foul play at this time point, unless there is witnesses to something in the other effect. Just from the evidence I have without witnesses, it looks like this is what happened.
Right. You have a time for when it happened and how long, and it would have happened obviously between the time that you were inside.
Yeah.
And
I give as good a time based off of the science at the time. Body temperature that was outside, probably accurate, probably within the, probably a half hour.
Right.
And I do mention that the boy had been playing in the area with friends.
Right. And none of the other, they tell you also that none of the other children in the area completely really think they didn't see what happened.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't really notice it at first. They weren't paying that close attention.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Right. So give me just a moment. There's something here I need to fix.
Now, I do give the police all the evidence too, plus the white lace that was in his hands. I document that, and And I let him know. I do. The only thing I will notice is I do know that one of the people. I was there earlier talking to someone as part of the historical society. I'm not telling this report down to the police because they'd ask for the report, and I'd say, yeah, we were visiting someone nearby for the historical society. I did notice him and the other kids playing. That there was a girl with white lace, and one of those frilly dresses. You know how some people like to dress up their girls. Um, and since this was in his hand, maybe she might know a little bit more.
All right. So they, in the time that you're there, because it probably takes you a couple of hours to do a complete exam, they inform you that the police have spoken to some of the local children, and nobody knows a little blonde girl in a white dress, the way you describe her, with blue eyes.
All right. I said, well, and I show him the sample. Well, they might not remember her, but this lace obviously indicates there was some type of little girl in the area. I don't know any boy that would wear white lace.
Well, yeah, and there were little girls out there playing, but they weren't dressed so nicely,
Yeah.
All right. So the rest of you, what are you guys doing?
I'm driving them back to the Historical Society.
Okay.
Yes. What a peculiar incident, gentlemen. As I'm driving them back to the Historical Society.
Yes. I mean, I'm not one to make accusations, but we came upon this neighborhood twice now, and Miss Franks is always throwing things at the children that are pestering her. You don't think something might have hit the kid?
Her house was a bit far back for that, surely.
Oh yes, surely you're right.
I definitely must admit she would have had one hell of an arm if she was able to hit a kid that far.
Yes, and we knew where she was for.
I
Well,
just recall
we
we
could
were
hear
up
her.
talking with Mildred, and there was some banging downstairs. Yeah, you're probably right.
I kind of agree with you. There's something wrong with that woman. Like, she could have been involved. Like, I'm all for those kind of conspiracy theories, but there isn't any evidence towards her throwing it. As Dr. Cope said here, she would have had to have an arm, and I don't think she would have that good of a throw.
Well, that offers me some relief. But I can't get it out of my head. But maybe we get back to the historical society and look for that Beckford box. I know DePaster and Cope seem to have remembered that the society had some records on the fellow. That'll be a good distraction.
We do, and hopefully Mr. Ropes didn't bury it too deep.
Well,
but we shall see.
There's something else we could look at. This may sound odd, but obviously the last thing Virgil said was drowning, like the kid was face down. Maybe we don't know if they were drowned or anything, but maybe we could look into mysterious cases around that area involving water. There could be something that pops up.
Well, involving water might bring it down a bit of a notch, but you're forgetting most of Arkham's history is profoundly in the weird.
Within like the past couple of weeks or so, not like we're not looking back years.
So you do suspect something odd then, Philip?
Well, there was the ginger kid. Then there was the girl in the white dress. And then the crazy woman with the doll obsession. On the same street, there is something odd indeed. My instincts are telling me something is
I'm
wrong.
important. I think something is definitely strange here.
Hmm. But it's all theory. We have no evidence. We have no proof. It could be one big coincidence.
Well, we'll see what Dr. Sprague has to say when he gets back.
All right.
He may offer some more definitive conclusions.
Then
So
we'll file away the Hathaway papers, and then we'll have a glass of brandy, and hopefully this whole situation will wind itself down.
so you're back at the Historical Society headquarters. And Robert, are you going to give the box of Hathaway stuff to Mr. Ropes?
Do we want to?
Well, part of it you're going to want to send to the guy who needs proof of the window.
You know, you've gone over it already, right? We went through it.
We went through and we do know what papers to possibly send and what not to, but I still think we should keep it in our own personal collection, so to speak.
I think that won't do anyone any harm.
Possible too, you might be able to make mimeographs of some of the relative information. They had a primitive mimeograph back then.
That's true too. I guess we can do that if we want.
Not a bad idea.
Yeah, the Hathaway granddaughters definitely wanted the originals back. We could make a mimeograph copy for Mr. Hemingsford, and hey, earn the Historical Society $50 and a mention in the upcoming book. I think it's a job well done, fellas.
All right. Anything else you want to do while you're there?
Well, we're going to have to get hold of Mr. Ropes in order to get those Beckford files.
The old archives of stuff are all in the basement, and that's where his office is.
Somebody else deal with him. My last encounter didn't go so well.
Oh, I've got this, gentlemen. Don't you worry. I can deal with him.
Like Portland.
Your heroism knows no bounds.
Yeah.
All right. So, Philip, you're going to go downstairs.
Yeah.
You find Lester Ropes sitting at his desk with a pencil in his mouth, and he's going over a large stack of old documents. He has on white gloves, and he seems to be making notes on the side in a bookkeeping book as he goes through them, and he's carefully laying them out. He sees you, and he's like, "Yes, Mr. Portland, what do you want?"
Ah, Mr. Ropes. It's nice seeing you. You're looking well.
Cut the formalities. I don't have time for that sort of shit. Just what do you need?
I am looking for Beckford files. The files on Mr. Beckford.
Files on the Beckford family.
Yes.
Why do you need them?
We just need them for something we are pursuing. That is all.
You need them for something you're pursuing.
Yes.
That's not... You realize these things are delicate. That's not something that... I mean, if it's just some sort of whim that you're having...
Oh, no, we it's not a whim. We need some information that can back up our theories to do with... I forgot her fucking name and his... Fuck. Yes, I don't...
Do an intelligence roll. It's the perfect time to do an intelligence roll.
That's literally 60 on 60. It's like...
Okay. So Clyde Beckford and his relationship with the Miss Hilda, what's her name? Franks.
Yes, we are. That's it. Sorry, my mind went blank. Hilda Franks. We met her. She was a supposed in love with Mr. Beckford, and we just want a bit more information because there's something unusual to do with her past involving Mr. Beckford. And we could really use those files. They would really help us in our pursuit of
Right upstairs. I will bring them up in maybe 10 minutes when I'm finished cataloging this piece.
Thank you.
Bear in mind, I want them back by 5 o'clock.
Oh, yes, you'll get them back by 5 o'clock.
I don't want to stay past 5 o'clock. I want to be able to re-secure them in the archives before I leave for the evening.
Yes.
And I have a life outside this place,
yes,
and I
yes,
have
I
things
know.
to do.
Yes, we'll get them back by 5 o'clock, okay? God damn it, man.
There's no need for that kind of language. All right. So 10 or 15 minutes go by, and he begins trudging up and down the stairs, and it brings you a number of large boxes that have the word Beckford on the outside of them. There's a lot of stuff, and a lot of it, as in most historical documents, a lot of it is utterly useless. There are correspondence between all members of the family with all kinds of people. It's not all categorized. There are business ledgers and there are business documents and all of that. So it's going to take you a while to go through it. We'll say a couple of hours, just in time for Dr. Virgil to be finished where he is and possibly head back over to where you are while you guys are looking. What do you think, Virgil?
Oh, that sounds fine by me.
All right.
I'm gonna need a really heavy drink after that one. It's never fun to deal with a dead child.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, Virgil comes in to join you and sees that you've got this stuff spread all over the table, and that you're going through it, and you've got piles of it that are just like, don't bother looking through there. It's useless. It's tax-related stuff. It doesn't have anything to do with what we're looking for.
I just ignore him, head to the bar, pour myself 3 fingers of whiskey, and then I sip some of it, then I come over.
All right. Everybody do a luck roll.
That's a big fat no.
I assume that you don't want Virgil to do so since he just came in.
Since he just walked in, yeah.
24 out of 60.
All right.
Langston passed.
And Robert?
No, I failed.
Okay. So, Robert, you find some newspapers, and there's a little stack of them. The first couple you find are talk a lot about Elihu Beckford. He was considered a visionary industrialist, and he founded the Arkham and Alsbury worsted mills. Some of his business practices were considered revolutionary. But you also find articles that are kind of, derogatory towards him because he was a businessman and he was a hard businessman and he did things. But for the most part, those things aren't that interested. Then you do find a wedding in 1880 announcing Clyde Beckford's wedding to a Miss Sonia Merritt, who is described as a wealthy Boston socialite. And then you finally find an article about Clyde Beckford's death.
Local industrialist killed. Clyde Beckford dead at age 34. Arkham, one of Arkham's prominent citizens, was killed last evening in a carriage accident that also took the life of his wife, Sonia Merritt of Boston. The scene of the accident was High Street, east of French Hill, near the intersection of East Street. Witnesses say a young child dashing in front of the horses caused them to bolt, overturning the carriage. Clyde Beckford was killed instantly. His wife died a few hours later at Arkham General Hospital. The unidentified child, described as a girl about 10 years of age with long blonde curls, disappeared during the ensuing chaos and has not yet been found. Final funeral arrangements are still incomplete, but the family has announced that it will donate Mr. Beckford's papers, along with portions of his library, to the Arkham Historical Society, of which Beckford was a co-founder. Mr. Beckford and his wife are survived by 3 sons, Matthew, Thomas, and Richard. Well, ain't that a tasty bit of news, gentlemen?
Did you... Was that a little blonde girl?
Tom, isn't that the exact address or close to the exact address I just had to file in the report?
It's near there.
Yeah. You hear me definitely set down the glass with a clunk. A little girl, you said?
A little blonde girl.
Yes, a little girl with blonde curls that has yet to be identified, that
And
left in the ensuing chaos of the wreck.
we saw a little blonde girl just before the ginger kid met his demise.
Langston and Robert do luck rolls.
I did pass my luck roll.
Okay.
And I also passed a hard.
You passed with a hard?
Yeah.
All right. So we'll give it to Robert then. Robert, as they're talking and you're listening, you're still going through the box. You find a journal. And you're pretty sure it's Clyde Beckford's journal. So as they're talking, you're glancing through this and reading some of it, and you find some things that are pertinent that you might want to share with the others. So
Okay.
he stops you guys, and here is the few pertinent things in the journal that you find.
Okay, gentlemen, I found this journal. There's a ton of uninteresting, mundane things, but look at this. Very early on, he says, I have met a girl, radiant like the sun, sweet, beautiful Hilda Franks, how I love her. Her eyes are like the stars, her smile could slay me. Oh, how I long to see her each day, I do love her. 2 weeks later, my parents are not happy with my choice for marriage. They say she's below our station, just like the Hathaway said. But I do not care, I would die for her. I love her so much. Nothing can quench the fire in my heart. I'm going to tell my parents that I have made my decision and nothing will change it. A week after that, he says, I despise my grandfather Eluhu with stern ways. One sec. My parents have spoken to him, and now he's threatening to cut me out of his will if I marry Hilda. He says if I marry her, I will not inherit the Arkham Aylesbury Worsted Mill. He is a monster. I don't care about money. A few days passed. My family has forced my betrothal to the daughter of Jacob Merritt, the Boston Railroad Baron. I have told Hilda that as soon as my grandfather dies, I will have my marriage to Sonia Merritt annulled and return to her. Then we will be together forever. The next day, Hilda and I sneaked off for what may be the last time until the old man dies. We went north into the woods to the big split rock on the hill, the ones they call the wishing stone. There we made our vows that we would never surrender our love to another until the day we died. We promised that we would not rest until we are together and love her so much. And then a year later, my wife Sonia has given birth to my first child, a boy. His name is Matthew Beckford. And a year later, his second son was born, named Thomas Beckford. And 2 more years later, a certain Richard is his third child. 6 months after that, grandfather Elihu Beckford has passed away. And then a few weeks after the funeral, he writes, after all these years, I received a letter from Hilda Franks. I responded that I love my wife and children and that I do not want to get a divorce. I must break the vow I made to her. And then the last entry is dated a week later, August 1891. Looking forward to enjoying a night out with my lovely wife Sonia. We are so happy together. Our futures look great.
And it's shortly after that that he and his wife died in the carriage accident.
Mhm.
So that is the last entry.
Well, ain't that a damn Greek tragedy?
Have a
For
theory.
Hilda, for sure.
I have one of my wild theories. Maybe. So we know that Hilda is a big fan of dolls, and there's this little girl, and she seems to be at the premises of where these accidents occur. Obviously, we know of 2 now. Maybe this is me. I've been around quite a bit. Maybe I've seen something, or my mind's gone a little bit. Maybe she's managed to make a lifelike doll kind of thing.
Right. That's nice for science fiction and the pulp section at the pharmacy, but really,
I mean, that even Hilda Franks is involved is very circumstantial. We've got 2 cases here, and then the further leap of some kind of doll, you say?
I am just. These are just my wild rantings. It's probably just a little girl who's a bit sadistic or something and going around causing these accidents.
right, a girl that's close to what? What? How many years was the last incident that happened with this Beckford?
Maybe
Beckford
related
died.
to girls
Um,
over periods. It's kind of passed from generation.
Right,
Okay.
a family of serial killers. Right.
I know
I
I'm jumping
mean,
the gun.
I mean, you got to stop reading that stuff at the newsstands. I mean, really, get a
Beckford
hold of
died-
yourself.
It's not what I read, it's what I see when I travel the world, you see.
Beckford died in August of 1891.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Here, a little girl. You know how old she'd have to be now?
You know,
Yes, but there have been stories like this throughout history, not particularly this, but weird happenings of people being in a different time and now being the same age 20 or so years later.
Oh,
to convince me of something
so-
like this, Philip, you would need to find some other cases between the red-headed kid dying in the street and
Yeah.
the case of the carriage accident. I mean, maybe
Okay.
then we would have a case.
Langstrom,
Well-
do a spot hidden for me.
Well, it must. There must be some mention of a little blonde girl somewhere.
Dr.
Okay.
Virgil, do a spot hidden for me.
All right. Yeah, I made it this time. Yeah, I
Right.
got a hard success.
You notice that the journal that Robert was reading from, at first you think it looks a little ragged around the edges,
Mm-hmm.
but then you realize there's a piece of paper, looks like an old piece of paper, sort of jammed in one end of it. And you reach over where Robert is, and you put your finger on it, and you pull it out, and you take a look at it. It seems to have some sort of poem written on it.
What does the poem say? I'm not reading out loud at first. I just. Interesting. My heart and soul, I'm reading this out loud. This has a poem on it. My heart and soul to you I give. Our lives together we shall live. Our vows we make are sealed in stone, that we shall never be alone. Two as one we shall remain, twice as strong, no one in vain shall separate our dearest heart. No rest for me whilst we're apart.
And it's in a woman's handwriting.
I wonder if this might be the vow they made together at that wishing well. Out of curiosity here, is this wishing well known historically?
It's not a well. Why don't you all do history rolls?
One thing I'm good at. 04.
Yeah, I blew it.
No, I blew it too.
Okay. Those of you who passed, you're a well of Arkham history, and there's a lot of local landmarks that everybody sort of hears about and stuff like that. Up north, in the north, about a mile from Midtown, there's a big rock called Split Rock. And it's a big old gigantic granite boulder with a crooked old pine tree sticking up out of it. The local kids think that it's magical, and they, make wishes on it. And you've even heard rumors like it cures warts, things like that. So yeah, you kind of you know what they're talking about, the big Split Rock.
Split, yes. You all know the stories of Split Rock, right?
No. Enlighten us.
Oh, no, it's just that people think it grants wishes and cures warts and various other ailments.
Ah, yes, the typical wives' tales.
No, I don't. I kind of believe these kind of things. Until they are proven wrong to me, I believe.
That makes you possibly one of the silliest individuals I've ever met.
Well.
But that's why I love you.
Remember, our historical society does include all types.
Yes.
From Portland to Mr. Ropes.
Yes, two different people.
Very different.
I actually want to do something, gentlemen. I want to go find records of newspapers from the past several years to see if this blonde girl has cropped up.
Well, you know what? It would be more interesting if she really was upset with, let's say your theory is correct. Would she not want revenge not only on the lover that scorned her and his new wife, but on each of the children they had?
Yes.
Yes, I wonder what has come of Matthew, Thomas, and Richard.
I'm also
You could
curious as to what
probably
happened to
easily
the grandfather.
Gentlemen. My mind has just clicked on. There was something odd that we have uncovered, and it's bothering me a little bit. It's the name of Hilda's grandmother, Sally Fowler. I can't quite put my finger on it, but it's bothering me. Really getting to me.
We are in a historical society. We probably have something. If she was as famous as has indicated as a doll maker, we probably have some record of her in here.
Yes, I will go speak to
Um,
Again, you're a braver man than I am.
Before you go, because you know what he's going to ask for.
Well, don't worry, I've got it covered.
No, he's going to want the box that you took back first before he gives you anything else.
Well, we won't. Maybe we can keep the journal for just a little while longer, and I give him the rest.
Say, your neck, not mine.
Oh, I can deal with Mr. Ropes, don't worry.
And this is where we just sit back and watch, gentlemen.
Yes.
And I will take the box, and I will leave the journal with the paster. You hide it well, and I will take the
Very
box
well,
back.
Portents.
All right.
As he leaves and goes downstairs, shall we take bets?
5. He doesn't make it to the bottom step before Ropes realizes.
Mm-hmm.
All right. You get down to the bottom of the steps, and you bring the box back over to
Ropes.
Ropes' desk, to Lester's desk, and he says, done so soon.
Well, I know that you like boxes back before we ask for something else. So
Did you find what you needed?
yes, we found some information. Yes.
And he looks into the box and starts looking around, analyzing it. There's something missing.
Oh, is there?
Now, do I need to go through my inventory, or will you fess up what you've taken?
Okay. I will be straight with you, Mr. Ropes. We are close friends, obviously.
Are
Look how
we?
close we are right now. Yes, we're very close. Look. See, I'm standing really close to you right now. Close friends, see?
Humor. I don't have any use for that.
I was actually going to mention that we're just borrowing. No, we will give it back to you by 5, but there's a bit more information from the journal we need. But yes.
All right, then I will set this right over here, and I will expect you to return whatever it is you have removed from the box. Is there any other reason why you came down here?
Do you have any records on Sally Fowler? She is a doll maker. This is to do with the case.
It sounds a little familiar. You're talking about a doll maker.
Yes.
Fowler.
Yes.
There's a rather famous name. But it doesn't have anything to do with dolls.
It was bugging me a little bit. That's why I...
Give me a few minutes.
Well, I'll wait. If you don't mind, I'll wait here.
All right, fine. Why don't you follow me back? You can actually learn something.
Maybe you should come on one of my expeditions, Mr. Ropes.
Oh no, who would mind the store? Now
You in the store.
Yeah, here's some information on a business, a doll making business, that's rather famous. Yes, Sally Fowler, a doll manufacturer from Arkham, quite prominent, sold dolls all over New England, quite a ways. But that name,
Yes.
there's something else.
Yes.
And he walks back into the back, and he says, yeah, here we are. And he brings out a tome, and he says, it's a record from the town. It's an old record. There was a Goody Fowler who moved from Salem to Arkham And she had originally been tried as a witch in Salem, but she had escaped the trials. And she managed to come here, and she was lynched by a mob in 1704. Not much of an escape.
Is there anything more on that, Mr. Ropes?
Well, I imagine there might be a few good witch books about Goody Fowler. And of course, you know, there's all sorts of legends about Arkham, that Arkham was practically founded by witches.
Oh, yes, yes. We all know, well, as superstitious folk know all about that.
Now, of course, we have no idea if your Sally Fowler has any relationship whatsoever to Goody Fowler.
No, but
I don't
it
even know
could
if Goody
be.
Fowler had children, as far as I know. But I mean, that would be an interesting genealogical research to do, and genealogy is my specialty.
Yes.
But I certainly couldn't do that today.
How could we go about doing this?
It sounds kind of fascinating. I might work on that, but I'm not going to work on it today. I don't have the time.
Oh no, that's fine. That's fine. When do you think you'd be able to get it done by?
You seem to be very much trying to put me under pressure.
Oh,
I don't know.
no.
I'll see what I can do. Talk to me tomorrow afternoon.
Yes, I will bring you your favorite drink or whatever.
Oh, and what is that? Friend?
Yes, it is.
I thought so. Just go.
Yes, I'll bring you something. Don't worry. Shit, maybe Cope knows.
Go. Bring back what you took when you're done.
Yes.
You've got 45 minutes.
Okay, so as I walk back up, I literally come up to him and go, "Witchcraft!"
What are you saying?
Hello to you too, sir.
Witchcraft.
Don't accuse Ropes of witchcraft. He's been part of this organization for years.
No, not Ropes. The Fowlers. However, I don't actually have any evidence, but they're connected. But Ropes is going to find the evidence for us, hopefully.
Ropes is going to find you evidence.
Yes, me. His best. Does anyone know his favorite drink?
Drinks.
The blood of the innocent.
That sounds about
I don't know.
Damn it.
I thought he was a
The tears of
teetotaler.
children.
Anyway, so let me just get to the point. Witchcraft. So, a Goody Fowler. I knew the name was bugging me. You all know that Arkham was founded by witches. You know that very true. I tell you, it's not fake. I bet it is witches.
Specifically, witches escaping from Salem.
Yes. Yes, voice in my head.
All of you can do history rolls, and the second he says Goody Fowler,
Yes.
recognize the name.
I failed.
And I failed that one.
I actually do know that one.
There are three names that pop immediately into your head concerning Goody Fowler. Possibly the three most famous witch names in Arkham. Goody Fowler, Bridget Bishop, and Keziah Mason.
Almost a coven.
Goody Fowler was hung by a mob. Nobody knows what happened to Bridget. And Keziah Mason probably has the most disturbing of all the stories. She was captured by the witch hunter Cotton Mather and placed in a cell in Arkham. And she wasn't there. There were markings on the walls. The cell was locked tight, and she just wasn't there in the morning. She was gone. So nobody knows where she went or how she escaped, and they're they're 100% sure that nobody came and let her out. So it's a big mystery.
Gentlemen.
So Philip, your time. Let me see if I get this theory right. You think that our Miss Franks, the granddaughter of Sally Fowler, is
Yes.
and Sally is related to this line of witches,
Yes.
and there's witchcraft involved with this doll-like child that
Yes.
was at the scene of the carriage accident in the 90s, and then also at the scene of the redheaded young boy's death tonight, and that these are
Yes.
some kind of revenge killings.
Yes. Yes, I do. Yes.
Really?
This-
Witchcraft in the 1920s? We're in the golden age of science.
You're
It
not
strikes
sure.
me that the theory could be tested, given that you yourself, Philip, have kind of gotten on the wrong side of Ms. Franks.
Well, I could get even worse on her side if we wanted to test it.
This is a possibility.
I don't know whether you're insane or brilliant, but let's have you throw a few stones her way.
This could be quite an interesting experiment. Or a really good laugh.
Or
Yeah,
sounds good
absolutely
either
horrible,
way.
and you get to autopsy Mr. Portland next time.
True. Though I bet I find a diseased liver.
It would be kind of like reliving our childhood a bit. It's a ridiculous idea, but
Though I don't, Bo, I don't like the idea of pestering a older woman. I mean, it's bad enough that she was being teased by the kids.
of
And
course.
for us to purposely pester her just for, Mr. Portland's, witchcraft ideas, it just goes against my grain.
Yes, true. Maybe it is a bit cruel. But what if let's just say, what if my witchcraft theory is correct? What if she is a witch?
Then that would technically make her responsible for the murder of a child simply because he called her names.
I just can't believe that someone would kill a child just for calling her names.
By the way, I should mention, Ropes is. I need to speak to him tomorrow, but he is going to start a genealogical thing on Goody Fowler and the family.
Well,
It actually
No.
wasn't as hard as I thought that it was, Mr. Rope says as he's coming up the stairs.
what?
He said,
You-
there's a
that
number
was
of
quick.
Old Town records that I went through. I can almost guarantee that Miss Sally Fowler is a relative of Goody Fowler.
Witchcraft.
Wow.
Well, Arkham is full of witch legends, but they're all just legends. They all died and they all were hung or burned or whatever. But yeah, it's possible that it's highly probable that she is a member. And he looks at his watch and he says, "You have 13 minutes left. Are we going to?"
Oh, by the way, Mr. Ropes, excellent job there.
I'd like to know what it is you took. And may I have it back, please?
Oh,
We
the
all-
pasta
we-
you can.
We all look at Portland.
Yes, the pasta you can show it to. We just want a quick glance.
Would he take out the journal behind my back? Like, yeah, sure. Just
All right, thank
just
you.
going through it.
Is there anything else I can help you with before I ask you to leave for the evening? We're ready to close up. But you don't have to. You don't have to leave up here.
Yes. Since you know genealogy, do you happen to know what happened to Beckford's sons?
I have
After-
no idea.
Okay.
That's another bit of research, but I don't have time for all of this. I have other things to do.
Oh, I just thought it was might be on the tip of your tongue. We'll take care of the research of that.
Yes, we need to find newspapers of
Well,
past several
the
years.
Beckford mills don't exist anymore. After the old man died, that sort of fell apart since Clive died right afterwards. I believe got bought up by some other conglomerate, and eventually it went out of business. But that was a long time ago. The sons could be anywhere.
All right.
All right. Thank you for this. I'm going to lock up downstairs.
Okay.
Thank
And he
you.
goes back down.
Well, gentlemen, I do believe we could do some research ourselves into the three sons.
Newspapers. I need
Well,
to
yeah.
see.
Or are there any? Is there still anyone over in your office, Sprague? I wonder if a quick call to look through the medical examiner's records of the death certificates might come up with unusual.
I can do one
suspicious
better
things.
with you as I pull out my keys. Why don't you and I go over there and the rest go take a look at the newspaper archives?
Oh, yeah, I'll join you. That sounds like a good idea.
And we'll have a glass of formaldehyde together. I'm joking. I keep good scotch there.
Excellent.
All right. Works just as good as formaldehyde, but tastes a heck of a lot better.
The morgue is actually in the basement of the general hospital.
Right. So him and I are going to go check out the death certificates.
And we go to newspaper archives, if there is one open still,
Do you believe the university library should still be open?
till 8, isn't it? Yes.
And it's
Yes,
5
I'm
o'clock
gonna
now. You
shoot-
have 3 hours.
It should still be there.
Miskatonic University. All right, so you head over to the Miskatonic. The thing is you're talking about papers now that are, 30 years old. So they've got them on microfiche at this point. It's a lot.
In the 1920s?
Don't they have microfiche yet?
I don't think that got developed till World War II.
All right. Well, then they don't have anything going back that far. They would have rotted or fallen apart by then.
Now, they might have taken photos of it, and there might be a photo archive.
Well, we won't dispute it. In any case, you probably won't be able to find anything from that old.
Damn it.
No city records that we can
Too bad.
delve into.
Maybe we can do some research into the 3 lost children here.
Well, there should be books on, since it was Arkham and they were at one time prominent, would there be a possible book of notable people of Arkham? They might be mentioned there.
Yes,
Because I'm not
Very
so
curious.
much into the sons. I'm more worried about Elihu. I would think that because it was because of him, her eye would be more point towards him.
we see how he died. Yes.
All right. Well, you go ahead and do that. We're going to check out the death certificates, right, Mr. Langston?
That's correct, but I would remind my fellow historical society members that when Elihu died, Miss Franks was under the impression that she would soon be married to Mr.
Yes.
Beckford.
Which is why she could have offed him to speed it up.
Well, if she was going to
Very
do that,
possible.
she would have waited before the man had 3 children.
True.
Doesn't make sense.
It's also extremely delusional, but still.
It's worth looking into how he died and then seeing if the children are still alive.
All right.
Whatever.
Sometimes when we're playing these games, we get little bits of history. Microfiche was started. Development of microfiche started in 1851,
Oh, okay. Then we've been corrected.
and by the 1920s, libraries were using it to store information on. So,
Ah,
So
Good
we would
job.
have-
I stand corrected.
Oh, we can look.
The more you know.
in any case, if you spent time there, you're not going to find it.
Okay.
Maybe
And
you find birth records of the 3 kids.
so Carter, we go to the morgue. We're looking through the death certificates, going back into history. We're looking for the Beckford.
Matthew Thomas and
Yeah.
Richard.
You do
Richard.
not find death certificates for the 3 of them.
No.
I mean,
Right.
this looks like mostly the city of Arkham stuff. You know.
Yeah, I hate to say this, but it doesn't go past a certain amount of time.
Well, it was
And
worth a shot.
the 3 men would be well into their adult years, possibly already old men.
Yeah.
40s, probably 40s or 50s. Yeah, you don't find any record of them.
All right.
And you don't find them in the phone book either. So it's very likely they moved out of this one horse town of Arkham.
So, Mr. Carter, what do you think of Portland's witchcraft theory?
Well, a couple of things. I have to admit that when I am in that neighborhood, there's something a little eerie going on. When I caught a glimpse of the girl, she seemed out of place. I do admit that. And there is this coincidence now with the girl showing up in the newspaper article in front of the carriage, and then the redheaded boy pestering Hilda, and then dying. But it's still a pretty tenuous connection.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand, if it had been, that the redheaded boy had done something real, but just simple pestering. I mean, it seems to me that maybe what we should do is take a look at, has there been any strange other deaths in that area? It seems to me like it would be kind of a waste for someone to simply kill a child just for teasing.
Well, I mean, you've got access to the death records. You seem to have some police contacts as well. If there's been suspicious stuff at Bridge.
I'm gonna give a phone call to someone I know in the police department, and I'm just gonna ask him, is there a lot of incidents in the area of where that young boy died over the last 20 years?
All right, so you're calling the police station?
Yeah. I'm one of my contacts. I probably have someone I know there.
Well, that will take them a while to do that kind of research.
Okay.
So, without computers. But
All right.
yeah, they'll look into it.
Yeah, I'm just curious. Doing a statistical examination of the area, because I know that the French Quarter has a lot of incidents.
Right.
Okay, thanks.
And are you looking specifically for a certain kind of death, or obviously death of children? But
well, anything dealing with a possibility as one of the people seen as a little girl with blonde hair.
References to a little girl with blonde hair. All right.
Right.
All right. So by this time, it's getting, we'll say it's about 7 p.m. All right.
Mr. Carter, I assume you need to get home.
Yeah, you'd maybe drop me off.
Sure, I can drop you off. And it allows me to go home and have some dinner. I do need to walk the dogs.
Mars and Pluto, right?
Right. So.
All right. So you drive over towards Langston's house. And Langston says goodbye, and he gets out of the car, and he closes the door. And he's got a short little walk up the sidewalk, and then up to his house. Langston, do a spot hidden roll.
Okay. I'm definitely kind of creeped out, so I'm looking for anything suspicious, but
okay.
I got a 97.
Okay. I'm actually going to give you, since you said that, I'm going to give you a bonus roll. You can roll it again. See if you pass.
The bonus die came up a 90, so
Okay. So you don't see anything, but as you are walking up the 3 little cement stairs on the walkway going to your house, something crunches under your feet. And when you look down, you're not sure if it's broken glass. There's not much of it, just a few pieces, but it's kind of white,
Hmm.
like porcelain. At least that's what sort of pops into your mind immediately. Do a sanity roll. If you fail, you just lose 1 sanity.
I did succeed.
All right.
Yeah. So I've got my walking cane, and I kind of come up on this little bit of clay dust, and I remember that Dr. Sprague had taken a sample in the entryway of Frank's apartment, and I think Cope looked at it under a microscope and discovered it was a clay particle. So am I pretty sure that this is this clay dust?
Well, porcelain is white. It could be that, or maybe it's just a piece of eggshell.
Philip's got all sorts of crazy ideas in my head. I am going to take a peer around again, look bushes, anything else before I go into my door and lock it.
By this time, as you look around, there's still some light, from the sunset. The sun's below the horizon, but some of the shadows are awfully deep and awfully black. And you don't know if something is there watching you. It becomes almost overwhelming, and you very quickly make your way into the house, keeping your looking around to make sure nothing's there. You're relieved by the light in your entryway as you go inside. All right, Robert, where are you?
I will drop them off because I'll drop them both.
Okay. So Philip, you're dropping Robert off in front of his place. He gets out, and he lives in a fairly decent neighborhood, but his house is somewhat set in. So he gets off at the corner where you drop him off, and he walks along the sidewalk. So he's walking by a few of the neighbors' houses before he gets to his house. Robert, as you are walking along, you look across the street, and there is a little table set up in the front yard, and it looks like there are maybe 4 children sitting around the table, and they're just sitting there and they're not moving.
I freeze stare at them.
So the more you look at them, the more you're convinced that, and they're kind of slumped. You're thinking, holy crap, are they dead children?
Oh my God, I'm going to go and slowly go near, look around, very paranoid.
Right. You're going to go over and look closer?
Yeah.
All right. You take a few steps into the street, and it suddenly dawns on you, oh, okay. It was a kid's tea party, and these are dolls. And they're all sitting in little chairs, and the kids must have left them out in the front yard, and they're just sitting there slumped over. But they look like little kids, especially in the dusk as the dusk is taking hold and the shadows are deepening. You can do a sanity roll, but it's creeped you out.
Very creepy. I think I failed that. Yes, I did fail that.
All right, so just take 1 point of sanity. And you have a similar reaction to Langston. You just turn around and get back in the house as quickly as possible.
Run like the wind.
Dr. Cope, who's dropping you off?
I would be, because they were both with me.
Philip.
They were both with you.
Most likely.
All right, you and Dr. And Philip are driving towards your house. What are you guys talking about?
Your strange crackpot theories. I'm pretty sure you got people staying up all night tonight.
Oh, I could tell you worse. I could tell you about the time I was in Kenya or the time I was in Australia. That would really get you going.
Yes, but how the Aboriginals ate lizards 5 times a week. You told me that story over and over again.
No, not that one.
I can give you one better. How about the Waitley boy that broke into the library at Miskatonic? That was weird.
Yes, that was weird. But giant spiders in Australia, that is weird. They come out of the sand and they're ginormous. There have been several sightings of them, and giant worms as well.
Both of you guys
Pictures
do.
or it didn't happen.
Both of you do spot hidden.
Spot hidden.
Oh God.
Where's my spot?
I failed by 10. Can I spend 10 luck?
If you want, sure. How about you, Dr. Cope?
Hopefully you did, because I failed.
I have 65 luck, so I can afford it a minute
All right.
to spend 10 luck.
Philip, so you're talking to Dr. Cope, but you're also driving. And there's some traffic, there's lots of other cars in town. It's a busy night. It's a fairly warm night. So people are out and about. And as you're sitting there, you notice that the car ahead of you, you just sort of casually notice that, there's maybe a couple of kids in the back seat. Couple of them, they turn around and they look out the back window and they make faces at you, and the way kids do, it's not really unusual. And you're relaxed and you're talking, and it actually sort of takes you out of that creepy feeling, because here are these kids. And then, just as their car starts to make a turn, one of the kids jumps out the window and lands in the street right ahead of you, and you have to slam on your brakes. And your car comes to a stop, and you don't know if you hit the kid or not, because it's literally right in front of the car. So Dr. Cope, you both can do sanity rolls. Dr. Cope for the sudden slam on the...
Jesus, Philip!
I think I just killed a kid.
The car just keeps going.
I failed.
All right, you failed. Take a couple points of sanity loss.
I passed.
For now. You both jump out of the car and you run around to the front, and there's a doll in the street. A little boy doll, not quite life size, and it's smashed when it hit the ground. But it's just lying there in the street.
Cope. That car in front. Witchcraft. Dolls.
No. They had some toy in the back window. It happened to fall out when they hit a bump.
No. Those two kids were playing. They were pulling faces at us, and one of them jumped out. And it was this one.
One of them was pulling a face. One of them. The other one was probably this stupid doll.
Both of them were pulling faces. I could clearly see.
I'm getting back in the car. I want to get home. Seriously, I'm about up to here with your bullshit.
Philip, what are you going to do?
I'm gonna take a closer. I'll be there in a minute, Cope. I'm gonna take a closer look at the doll.
It seems to be a fairly modern doll.
Is there like some dolls have like a tag or something saying who made it? Is there any kind of inscription or
Yeah,
anything?
just sort of a retail. Nothing really special about it.
I put it to one side of the
Okay.
pavement, and then I
Push
get
it over
back
to
in
the
the car.
side.
And I start driving Cope.
Start
And I
driving
don't
home.
speak to Cope because I'm just in my head. I'm just rambling on about witchcraft
Cope.
and
Cope's not talking either. He's uneasy right now.
you might even hear me mumbling, Cope. I'm just mumbling nonsense under my breath.
All right. And finally, Dr. Virgil, you've dropped everybody off. You park your car. And as you are getting out and walking up towards your house, there is a derelict. He's obviously drunk. He's walking along the sidewalk past your house, and he's mumbling something. You can do a listen roll if you want to hear what he's saying.
I hear it whether I want to or not. Yeah, 05. I think I definitely heard it.
He says you can hear him, and he's very drunk, but he's like, "She'll come back. She'll come back. I know she will. She always comes back, but one day, so they say, she'll come back. She'll come back to me. She'll come back." And he stumbles past you.
I just shake my head and go, "Poor man, probably lost to his wife or the person he loved."
All right.
And I head up into my house.
All right. And you all go to bed. You can all do power rolls.
However, I will walk my dogs before I go to bed.
I got an extreme fail.
All right. If you fail, I just need
I
a
got
fail.
an extreme success.
Okay, if you
fail.
succeed, you sleep pretty sound. If you fail, you are beset by weird dreams. Philip, specifically, you are in a shadowy place, and there are little hands and little feet, and there are footprints in the dirt, and there are giggling voices in the dark. And you wake up, and you're almost afraid to go back to sleep because they're going to be haunting you in your dreams. So the next day, you're going to wake up, and you haven't gotten very much sleep. So you can take a penalty dice on anything that you try to roll that has to do with your mental abilities.
Okay.
All right, so next day dawns.
Such a refreshing night.
What would you all like to do today?
I guess we'd meet at the historical society again, because that's...
I will check at my office first because I probably have to do my morning routine. Probably see if my friend in the police department, well, I probably won't hear anything about that till a day or two later. So I'm just going to go in, take care of things,
Okay. How about the rest of you?
We'll meet up in the historical society.
I would probably.
I'm just saying, I think I'll meet up in the historical society.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to. get up pretty early and just check in at the exhibit museum. You know, on the off chance, I do run downstairs and see in the records if there were any Arkhamite ever like donated a doll or anything to the exhibit museum. I don't ever recall one, but just checking before I head to the Historical Society.
Yeah. You don't know of any dolls that have been donated to the society. Although, now that you think of it, it might make a nice addition if you found one of these older dolls. Maybe Hilda will sell you one if you can convince her.
That may be my in. But I'll head to the Historical Society.
All right. We can assume that at some point you all managed to get back to the Historical Society. What would you like to do now that you're there?
So, still have this silly idea, Philip?
Don't look quite right.
I had a horrible sleep. I was in my dreams. There was little tiny hands clawing at me, and then me and Cope, before I fell asleep, me and Cope, we were driving, and there was two kids. They were pulling faces at us, and then one flung out of a car, and then it was a smashed doll on the road in front of my car, and
it was one kid.
No, it was two. It was two kids.
They had a doll. One of them,
No.
for some reason, threw it out the window, and it landed in front of us.
It was two kids, and one jumped out. Two kids. I could see it clearly.
But even if it was a doll, what's with this everywhere we turn, dolls showing up? I mean, I'm not quite convinced by Philip's theories, but I don't know if your skepticism is totally justified, Dr. Cope. I swear on my way into my doorway at home, there was actually some porcelain. Some of that dust was there. Something strange is going on.
Yeah, I wasn't going to mention it. It seems a bit absurd, but there was a strange assortment of dolls just sitting out on this table, right in front of my house. I've never seen those dolls there before. No, maybe a new family moved in. I don't know. This is strange.
I think what it is you're all, once you guys start, Portland started giving this theory, I think all of you have been kind of influenced by the same thought.
It's not.
It does happen.
Well, let's settle this then. Maybe a visit to Hilda's house. If we find out she's just a crazy old woman, nothing weird going on, then Sprague and Cope is right. If there's something a little more sinister, maybe, I don't know. It's an idea.
But the thing is, we need to find out if there's been any more cases on this, any other strange deaths, and then we.
I did ask a friend in the police department to inform me if there had been any odd deaths in the area, particularly mentioning a little blonde girl.
Okay.
So hopefully by the end of today or tomorrow, I'll hear back from him. But I'm quite sure there hasn't been. I think, Portland, that, if you've just let your imagination get away from you.
No. It's all connecting, can't you see? Dollmaker, mysterious blonde girl, witchcraft. It's all linked in some weird way.
You do have to admit that De Paster's doll tea party and then the doll coming out of the car in front of Cope in Portland, and then my running into broken porcelain on the steps is a little hard to explain by mere coincidence.
We are
As
cursed.
closely related as these things may seem, it is mere coincidence.
Gentlemen,
Can
I just please say one thing? Maybe whoever has the biggest house tonight, we should all stay at that house. Because what if we are a target?
That would
You're
certainly
thinking
be
I'm mad,
welcome,
aren't you,
Robert's
Jesus?
house.
I have guest rooms.
Yes, Robert, yes. Even if the
Mm.
others don't want to stay, I'd rather be with it so I know we're safer together, I guess, if there is something strange going on. It can't be a
Sure, welcome,
I
coincidence.
really hope you're not allergic to
Welcome.
dog hair. Because I have my pug Francis, and Virgil's got his 2 dogs as well.
No,
And
dogs are
I'm not
welcome.
going to leave Francis staying at home all by himself.
No, he can come. I mean, my maid might get a bit upset, but she'll manage.
Thank you, Robert. Sorry, I just
Either way,
feel...
I am more inclined to Carter's idea that if we just pay this woman a visit, see her for the crazy loon of an old bat she is, it'll clear this whole thing up.
But
I did leave a business card under her door the other day. Our visit could be under the pretense of trying to get an interview about her doll making, or even perhaps to purchase a doll for the museum.
yes.
Well, since we have found her that she is an historical person, it would be wise to see if she might want to, give a interview so that we can, to one of us, so that we can have her historical perspective of the town or of her artwork.
Yes.
Not
Don't-
bad ideas.
Now, I would suggest to be someone who is a little bit less, a little less touched, as maybe someone a little bit more objective.
Then
Then Portland. Maybe we should have myself and Dr. Cope go, since we seem to be very grounded, in reality.
I should be the one to go. I'm the most sane here. I should be going.
Right.
Says the one who
This is-
just had dreams of little hands fondling him all night.
Yes. This is the man that tormented the same lady.
Everyone speaks to me. I'm a persuasive man.
well, this brings up an idea then, Philip. Perhaps if we go to the neighborhood, you might walk the neighborhood a bit, try to talk with the children as some of the rest of us give call on Hilda.
And I've got an even better. I've got on top of your idea. Maybe one of you stays outside and keeps an eye out for a little blonde girl while I'm doing the walk.
I don't mind doing that. Just Philip, don't get any other redheaded boys killed, would you? I think one is
Yes.
enough.
It's probably a bad time to say I'm actually naturally red-headed. I dye my hair. I'm joking. I don't really. I'm going a little mad.
Reaches out, pulls his hair a little bit.
Anyway, Philip, don't you have Mr. Ropes? I'm going to check out some stuff later on for you.
No, he already did that for us. It was the genealogy things.
Yes, but he was going to check something else out, wasn't he?
I will go check with him
Something
anyway. I
about
might.
the sons.
Yes,
perhaps?
yes. I will go. Yes, I will go sort that out. Thank you for reminding me. It's been a long night.
I think it was going to take him a day or so to do the Fowler thing, but he did it very quickly.
Yeah.
I don't think there was anything else, was there? Oh, you were trying to look for the sons, but you haven't found
Right.
any.
Yeah. Yeah, the only thing I think we're really kind of waiting for is, hearing something back from the police department on my query. I figure they'll get back to me in their good old time. They got cases to solve.
Ones without witches and dolls.
Yeah, not dealing with dolls and witches and that type of stuff.
Yeah.
You all just noticed that I'm laughing to myself a little bit. But...
Maybe you should lay off the brandy.
I agree.
Robert, you
Yes,
will
sir.
keep an eye out if we go to this woman's place. You keep an eye out from outside in case any strange things, and I will do a little walk around the neighborhood. And I've got a little idea of my head. It's why the other three go and speak to her.
That's not disconcerting in any way.
I think we'll all feel better if we just get this out of the way. Should we head over there sooner rather than later?
Probably about 10:30 a.m.
Maybe we have lunch first. We don't want to be doing this we wait for lunch, have lunch, and then go. We don't want to be doing this on... I had a small breakfast. It was midnight. Horrible dreams. I could only eat a very small breakfast.
All right, so you want to wait until after lunch? We'll say that lunch is at noon. Takes you maybe 45 minutes to eat lunch. And you're going to go over back into that neighborhood. All right. So, once again, you drive. Who's driving? Is Philip going to drive again? Okay.
Oh no, Robert. Yeah, we'll let Robert drive. I've been driving all this time. We'll let Robert drive.
Okay.
They want you running over a doll walking down the streets.
All right.
You keep your car a bit cleaner, I notice.
So you head on over back into the neighborhood. Today there aren't any kids playing. Their parents have kept them inside. One of their little comrades is dead. I forgot to mention this. You do see a newspaper article this morning.
I can read it. Tragic accident. Local boy drowns. Arkham. The death of Matthias James Wellington, aged 10 years, late, of Pickman Street, Arkham, was reported by police yesterday evening. The child's body was found face down in a puddle, apparently the victim of a tragic accident. In his report, Arkham medical examiner Ephraim Sprague stated that the boy's lungs contained water and that it seemed likely that he fell and knocked unconscious, accidentally drowned in the shallow puddle. The staff of the Arkham Sentinel would like to extend their deepest condolences to the Wellington family in their time of need. Details of the funeral services are to be announced.
They always seem to get my name wrong.
Indeed, they did. All right, so you park in the neighborhood and you get out and you, what are your plans? Let's say you're standing on the street corner and the block goes around, all of these houses, and you would walk to your left and go up to the house where Margaret and the Hathaways and the Franks live. So you're standing on that corner.
Right.
What are you all going to do? What's Philip going to do?
You three go in, and I need to speak to Robert before I start doing a round, but we'll wait until you have gone inside.
Okay, there's 4 of them.
No, because Robert, I'm
No,
going to speak to Robert, and
I'm
Oh,
gonna
the
stay.
other 3 are going to go
okay.
in.
So you and Robert are there on the corner, and the
Yes.
other 3 are making your way to the house. Philip and Robert, what are you going to do?
Okay, Robert, listen to me. Okay.
Yes.
This is going to sound a little bit crazy, but you seem to be for my crazy ideas sometimes. So you are going to do what we were talking about. You're going to stand on the front porch. You're going to keep an eye out, and you'll maybe have the door slightly open so you can see what those 3 are up to. I'm then going to sneak around the back of
The
property.
house.
Yes.
Oh, Jesus, Portland.
Yes,
What
don't
if she
worry.
throws a
Don't
doll
worry.
at you?
Oh, don't worry. That's why you're keeping an eye out.
Oh, Portland. I know I can't talk you out of this. Sure, yeah, whatever you want.
Yes, I knew you would be fine with it. Well, Carter might have been okay with it, but the other 2 would have talked me out of this nonsense.
Well, the worst case scenario might be a laugh. I'm in.
Okay.
All right, Dr. Cope, Dr. Sprague, and Langston, you're walking up towards the house, and you are still on the sidewalk, but now can walk straight up to the house. Any discussions or anything you want to do before you go up there?
Well, we should be able to. I'd say we just do a standard interview. I mean, she's obviously a historical. Her work is here. Her dolls are famous, and she worked for another famous doll maker, Miss Sally Fowler. It would be wise to do a standard interview and, say that we just when we talked to the ladies next door, we realized that we had another famous person, another important person in Arkham Historical Society, and we wanted to make sure that we left no stone unturned and included her in the history of Arkham.
Yeah, I think that's a very good tact. I think the difficulty will be in persuading her. We've seen that she's a little bit fearful of guests, or certainly doesn't seem to like guests. So we should probably approach it with the light hand. But
Yes, I agree. Who would have the best light touch?
Honestly, I would say Langston might, especially since he left a business card with his name on it first.
Yes, I think
Yeah.
that would be
She might
wise.
be more familiar with that name.
all right, let's go pay her a visit. And so walk through the entry doorway and turn to her door.
Okay. So you've had a little conversation in the front for a few minutes, and you're walking up the steps to the front, to the entry into the house, and then there's another door, which is her door. So you haven't quite gotten there yet. Meanwhile, Philip and Robert have come kind of around the back alley, and I guess Robert is keeping an eye out for anything going on, and Philip, you're sneaking up to the house.
Yes.
All right. You can see that there are a number of windows around the bottom floor of the house, but they're all heavily curtained. Do a spot hidden for me.
Okay, that's just a normal pass.
Okay. So you're going along the windows, and you finally find a spot where there's a crack in the curtains, and you're peeking through. And as you're looking, you can do a sanity roll, because what you see is Mrs. Franks in the middle of the room. In her hands, she holds a almost life-size blonde doll with blue eyes, and she's holding it up and she's dancing with it, and she is completely naked with her old flabby body and miscolored skin and everything.
I also failed.
You do a sanity. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I failed.
Do a 1d2. You have seen naked people before, but
Oh, God,
she
that's
seems
two.
to be sing-songy, sort of dancing with it and holding it
Oh, dear
off in
God.
some fantasy world. And just about the time that you see that and sort of recoil, you can hear a knock. Boom, boom, boom.
I duck.
And that's you guys in the front. She immediately says, "Go away. Stop bothering me."
Miss Franks, Langston Carter calling. I left a card under your door from the Historical Society and the Exhibit Museum. Could I have a moment?
You're just one of those nasty children trying to trick me.
Oh, I assure you, Miss Franks, that's couldn't be further from the truth. And in fact, I'm quite enamored by your history and your work, and would love to talk with you about that.
The door opens just about this much. You can see that and she looks at you. You can see that her eyes are completely blue-white with cataracts, and she says, "I said go away, or I will throw something at you. You're evil children, all of you. You are."
So I'll take off my hat and Miss Franks, Langston Carter.
You just won't leave me alone. And she slams the door, and you hear her stumble around inside, and then all of a sudden you hear her go, "Ah, ah," like this, and then there's a sound of her body hitting the ground.
What do I see from my?
Oh shit!
You see her go to put the doll down. She puts on kind of a robe around her, and she goes to the door, and you see her yelling at the door, and she slams the door closed, and she turns to that, and she grabs her chest, and she falls to the ground, and you can see she's gasping for air.
All right. I'm going to see if I can get through the door quickly. I don't know if she locked it or not, had a chance to, but I think I would recognize, at least being a medical professional, I might recognize maybe some of the sounds.
Yeah. Do a spot hidden. I mean, do a strength roll.
I get Robert.
And I'm
28
I'm helping with that as well.
Out of 45, so I did a regular success.
All right. Well, with Langston helping you, it's not very difficult to smash the door.
I'm afraid I gave the woman a heart attack.
When you break through the door, Philip, what do you want to do? You've seen this.
I would have just while they were like doing their thing, obviously I wouldn't known. I would have kind of quickly gone just enough so I can shout Robert, and then I would have come back. So I wouldn't have gone too far, but enough so that Robert could
Sure,
hear
coming
my
back
voice.
to the back of the house.
Yeah, I'm going back to the back.
I'll
of the
run
house.
over to him.
All right.
I'm gonna, because I don't know that they're gonna come through, so I'm gonna break a window.
Well, there's a back door as well.
Oh, I'm just gonna go for the back.
All right. You guys can also do strength rolls if you want to break through the back door.
Robert,
Okay.
holy shit, there's a life-size doll in there, a blonde one, and the woman just had a heart attack or something, I don't know.
Oh my God. Philip, what have you done?
I didn't do anything, it wasn't me.
Pass your strength.
I just passed.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, I
Alright.
did pass my strength.
Once
yeah.
again, the two of you together don't have much difficulty in breaking open the back door. So the ones who are inside, you can hear the back door open as they all come running in.
Well, I'm probably not even paying attention to that. I'm going straight to her and try to use first aid on her.
All right.
I
Well,
look for the doll.
let me describe what you're seeing. It looks like there are maybe 100 dolls in here in various forms of construction. Most of them are not finished. Most of them look like porcelain heads and arms and feet with a cloth body in the middle. There's a sewing machine. There's a kiln where she fires the porcelain. There are shelves all around the walls with dolls up there. and there are doll parts hanging from the ceiling. Everything is covered in porcelain dust. You can all do constitution rolls to see if you sneeze and cough, because this dust just it's everywhere.
If there's if there's that many dolls that you say, as soon as I go in and notice it, I will freeze up because I'm terrified of like dolls.
Okay.
This amount of dolls.
Right, so you freeze up. I'll have you do a sanity roll then, Philip, because of the doll thing.
And I failed the con roll. And let's see the sun.
Okay. So
and
you start
the sun roll.
You start coughing and sneezing, and you can do a 1d4 on your sand for all the dolls.
Okay.
The dust affects me adversely too.
All right, sneezing and coughing.
Yeah, I made my con.
Cope's getting the
I
same.
made it too.
So maybe Dr. Virgil, you put a handkerchief over your mouth.
Yeah.
She's lying on the floor and she's shaking violently.
Yes.
And she's gasping like this for breath. You can tell she's having a heart attack.
All right, I'm going to try to do first aid first.
Okay, go ahead and roll a first aid roll.
All right, hard pass.
Okay. She's still in a great deal of distress. She's your first aid isn't really doing much for her. You're managing to comfort her a bit. I want everybody else to do spot hidden rolls, especially Philip.
Passed.
I'm gonna spend 2 luck to pass.
Okay.
I passed.
I passed.
Langston, you failed.
I failed.
Okay, failed. You're watching Virgil. Virgil is working on her. Philip, Dr. Cope, and Robert suddenly notice all around you that some of the dolls are going. Can all do sanity rolls.
I'm even more frozen. I'm like,
yeah. And
I'm
Philip,
just
you
like-
can do it. You can do a sanity.
Passed.
okay, but
I failed mine.
my sanity's getting low, so I failed. I started with 40 sanity.
If Robert, you
Okay.
can do a 1d4. Dr. Cope, you can just take 2 points. And Philip, you can do a 1d8.
Sweet.
Why did I do this to? Let's see if I can. Oh, it won't. Oh, it's a 7. It won't.
Yeah,
7.
I see it. 7.
7. Okay.
Hmm.
Do an intelligence roll.
Hmm. Do you
Success.
realize the fucked up shit you're seeing is fucked up?
I succeeded.
You succeeded.
By
right.
1, by
You
the way.
noticed.
I succeeded by 1.
Do a 1d8.
2.
You flee. You can
See
do
ya.
a 1d10 to see how long you run.
Oh, 5. So
All right, so for 5 rounds, you run out the back, you go down the alley, and you start running, and you really have no conscious thought of where you were going. You were just getting as far away as possible. And let's say that 5 rounds later, do a con roll.
No.
oh, fuck off. I failed by 1 this time.
All right, you failed your con roll. At the end of 5 rounds, you've run down an alley and you found a large dumpster, and you push your way behind the dumpster and you pass out. Okay, you're so exhausted you just lose consciousness. That's where you are. Those of you who have noticed the dolls, you notice that the dolls are breathing in time with Mrs. Franks. Doctor, you know that you're losing her. She is dying.
So there's not much I can do for her.
Right.
I will
And-
comfort her then. I'll say, it's okay, Miss Franks.
After a few moments,
I'm here with you. And I go, and I look at one of your guys. Bring her favorite doll over. I assume there's. I assume there's.
Which one?
You do see the large blonde doll with blue eyes. It's lying on the bed, but it is also going. And you can actually hear it breathing.
Okay.
That's
so you
probably
could-
the first
So I-
time I noticed.
So I assume I'm doing a
Oh,
sand roll.
Yeah.
I am not touching those
I
dolls.
actually made it. I'm shocked. All right.
You can do a couple of points of damage.
Yeah.
After a couple of moments, Mrs. Franks expires. She has a death rattle. And she gives her last breath and she dies. All of the dolls stop moving.
I think I
What do you
killed
do?
her.
And you all notice that Philip has disappeared.
Oh, what? Oh,
Philip?
Last I saw
the
him, he
hell?
was running out that back door.
Nah,
Was that-
shit?
Were those
I'll go
dolls?
get him.
Was that doll on the bed moving?
I
Not-
think they were all.
At this point, I don't know. I'm gonna find Philip. And
Well, we need. I need one of you guys to get it to a phone and call the cops.
Yeah, sure. I'll go for him.
The Hathaways are upstairs.
Yeah, see if they have a phone and ask
They don't
them if
have
they
a
use
phone.
it. Oh, they don't. So we need a. One of you needs to get him to a phone and let the police know. I'll stay here.
I'll go run out with my phone.
I can't get the image of that life-size doll. It was, I swear, was moving on the bed. I'm kind of focused on that. I'm just walking over and investigating it. Can't believe my eyes.
Well, now that you're looking at it, it looks like a regular little porcelain doll. Very beautifully made. No cracks in the porcelain. It's very lifelike. But it's no longer moving. It's lying there on the just dead still on the bed. You also notice that there is a tear in the white lace dress that it's wearing. That it matches very well the description of the little girl.
Yeah, two things come to my mind. I'm starting to think that Philip was onto something when I noticed the lace missing, and I'm also thinking I have in my hands a fine example of a real Frank's doll. I'm looking around and noticing maybe that the rest of my society members are distracted, and I'm gonna try to take the doll, conceal that I'm taking the doll.
Well, there's not really any way to conceal it. It's literally 3 feet high.
Okay.
And there are a lot of other ones that are finished. That are, you can see that she was a fine craftsman. The workmanship is fantastic, but 90% of the dolls in here are unfinished. And then there's lots of body parts, which is kind of creepy. Little hands, little legs, little heads with no hair attached, like baby heads. What are you going to do? You guys are in here alone with the dead body. She is probably beginning to evacuate.
Yes, I know. I step away, but I try to leave her peacefully. Gentlemen, when the police do arrive here, I would suggest that I would stick to our story that we were planning in the first place. Just simply came to ask for an interview with her due to her history, and she had a heart attack.
Yeah, I feel awful. I
I
as you
feel
saw,
horrible about
I
this.
was gentle as I could be, but
I know.
guys, what do you make? I want to show you something and try to remain calm. But look at this doll, and look at the tear on the lace.
Dr. Virgil, you would realize that it
Yes.
matches perfectly the piece.
I go, interesting. This is exactly the lace that was in the boy's hand. He had been grasping that, when he died.
Dr. Cope, you've run out the back door, and you have no idea which direction Philip went. If you call for him for a few minutes, you still have no idea where he went. And in fact, Philip, you have run probably a couple of miles away. You're not going to wake up for a while, but when you do wake up, you won't have any idea where you are.
Okay.
Gentlemen,
Probably
I'll
going to
keep it-
sleep for a couple of hours.
Gentlemen, I'll keep an eye on Miss Franks. If you guys want to check around to make sure they're, everything's secure, that'd be fine by me.
Okay, so while you guys start to do that, you hear the steps coming down the stairs, and Miss Hathaway, she's like, "Oh dear God, what's happened?"
We came to interview your neighbor here because of we had found out her history with dolls, and she seemed to go into a heart attack when she was at the door. When I recognized the telltale signs, and we were able to break down the door, but unfortunately, I wasn't able to save her.
Oh, that's too bad. She's an old woman, Hopefully she's gone to a better place than this life. And she's like, "Margaret, yeah, Mrs. Franks has passed away. What are we going to do? We don't have a phone."
No, I've sent one of the gentlemen to get to a phone to call the police. Since I'm with the coroner's department anyway, I can act as official over the body.
Who's gone to find a phone?
I've gone off.
Mr. Pester. You've met Mr. Pester before.
Right. You managed to you have to walk all the way to the end of the block and you find a pay phone. You call the police and give them the address, and you tell them that Virgil's already there, the examiner. So they're going to send somebody.
The police are going to think we're absolutely nuts if we mention anything about this doll.
I agree with you.
Just leave it as we were interviewing this woman for the Historical Society. That's all.
Right.
I think this doll deserves closer investigation, though. I'm going to put it in the car.
Mildred and Margaret go back upstairs. It's unfortunate, but they don't want to be around a dead body again.
That's your call, Carter.
That's what I think ought to be done.
Right.
And so I'll step out and Cope, did you find Philip?
I looked out the back door. I have no idea where he went. I called his name. He never responded. I don't know where he went.
Well, we're gonna have to look for him.
The police arrive. They put Mrs. Franks into a ambulance. I don't know what they would use. Ambulance. And they take her to the morgue. Dr. Virgil, what do you want to do?
I'll go with them, but I'll explain to the police that we had come here to do an interview with her, and when she was answering the door, she started having a heart attack. I recognized the signs. We broke down the door to try to get to her, but she, unfortunately, I was unable to keep her alive.
They understand. they know who you are.
Yeah.
So there's nothing they can do. Old body, old woman dies. It's going to happen eventually.
So you may want to have a police officer or someone secure the house until we can find out who her next of kin is, so that I know this is a rough neighborhood, but I'd hate to see what little she has left to not go to her next of kin.
All right. Is there anything that you want to do while you're at the house?
Considering that I've just seen the lace and I'm talking to the cops, if I get a chance, I look. I think I would like to search the house to see if there's anything there. Now that I'm kind of somewhat convinced that this doll had something to do with things, I'm kind of partially believing Philip's thing. I'm looking for anything that could possibly be dealing with witchcraft.
Okay. How about the rest of you? Not Philip, obviously, not Dr. Cope. Actually, just Langston. You're the only one else there.
Yeah, I'm gonna secure the doll in the trunk of Philip's car,
Okay.
and then, I mean, I'm convinced that Philip was onto something, and so I too might mention to Virgil
And
are there any books around here?
And I tell Dr. Cope, just to let you know, that lace that was on the doll, that doll that he took to the car, the boy who I did the autopsy on was holding a piece of the same lace, the exact same lace. I hate to admit it, but I do believe our friend Portland was onto something possibly.
All
At
right.
that point, Dr. Cope reaches into his jacket, pulls out a cigarette, very shakily tries to light it.
All right.
I go help him.
So let me move you ahead just a little bit. Eventually Philip comes to. Philip lives in Arkham, so at first he doesn't know where the hell he is, but he manages to find his way home. His head hurts. He's been sleeping in an extremely uncomfortable position. He doesn't really remember what happened, except that there were dolls, and he hates dolls. So he figures he'll go home, he'll drink until he passes out, and then he will sleep until the next day. The body, in fact, she had a heart attack, and a sort of a cursory examination of her estate, if you will. She has almost no money whatsoever. So she is buried in the Potter's Field, in the St. Clair's church cemetery. Okay. If you want to work with the Historical Society to maybe get some of her stuff, that's probably possible. And a few days go by. Langston, what did you do with the doll?
So I've been unable to bring myself to open up Philip's trunk, and I never mentioned it to him that
It's
I
the
put the doll
pastors.
back.
It's the pastors' truck.
Yeah.
It was his
Oh,
car.
that's right. That is right. It is in the
Yeah.
paster's trunk. So, at this point, I haven't done much with the doll.
Okay, so it's still in Robert's trunk.
It's still in
Yeah,
Robert's
I don't
trunk.
check there.
Okay.
Don't look at there very much.
All right. Robert, one evening, you are in your house and you hear an odd noise coming from outside. It sounds like somebody banging on metal. You walk out in the front, and there is a banging noise coming from the trunk of your car.
I'll like staring at it. Is it continuing or is it like
Yeah.
periodic? Like
No, it's
constant banging?
it's a scratching and a banging noise that's coming from the trunk of the car. What do you do?
I think I'll go get the old hunting rifle downstairs. Kind of freaked out that something's in my car.
Could be a raccoon, possum, cat.
I'll be kind of tense that something got in my car, it's banging strangely. Just not, aiming crazy, but holding the gun and slowly kicking the trunk open.
Okay. Well, you have to turn the key and
Key
pops
up,
open.
pop it up.
All right. You turn the key, you get ready with the shotgun, and the trunk pops open. And as it does, this little blonde white lace dress doll leaps out at you, grabs a hold of your throat, and with its tiny little hands, it's attempting to strangle you. You sort of fall backwards, and you can do well, you don't have to do a sanity roll just yet, although you're going to do a sanity roll. What do? It's trying to, it's not very good at strangling you, but it's trying.
Oh my god, I don't think I'm going to be able to handle the guns, like drop and try to push her off me.
All right, do a brawl roll.
Okay. Oh no, that is total fail.
All right, so you're trying to pull it off you, and it's maneuvering around you, and it's trying to get you in a sort of a little choke hold. Why don't you do another brawl roll? Let's see what happens next.
Nope, 82.
Okay. This thing is doing a pretty good job. It's trying to cut off your windpipe, but it's small and it doesn't quite have the strength. It starts hitting you in the back of the head with its little porcelain hand, and you hear a definite cracking noise as it does that. At first you think it's your skull, but you're pretty sure it's the little porcelain arm. Go ahead and do another brawl roll. Or what do you want to do? Do you want to?
I'm going to try and bash her into the ground.
Okay. Do a brawl roll. You can do a brawl roll with a bonus on that one.
Oh, thank God. That's hard.
Okay. So you sort of purposefully fall down trying to land on the doll, and you do it very effectively. And there's a horrible crunching noise as you do that, and the thing goes limp. You look down, you get back up and look down. You've crushed its little head. You've crushed a couple of its arms and its legs. And now it's just lying there completely motionless with its little porcelain eye looking up at you. And we'll break there for the week. That's where we'll end it. But the scenario ain't done.
No, because there's
Oh my
all those
God.
other little dolls.
Thank God it wasn't me, Mike.
Our players included Jeff Beck, Nimrod Futterman, Oren Mayer, Grant Dowell, and Josh Harwood, with myself as the keeper of the secrets. We're currently producing up to 4 shows a week with music and sound effects added in post-production in order to create a richer listener experience. We provide audio-only versions of our shows free for you to download from Podbean or iTunes. The costs involved with the show are provided almost entirely by our patrons. Without them, we wouldn't be able to do what we do. We have 2 new patrons. One new patron is calling himself Hobo Hotep. He has pledged $5 a month. And the other one is Nathan Decker. He has pledged $3 a month to our club. Thank you so much, Hobo Hotep and Nathan. If you'd like to help support our show, please visit our Patreon account. Just $1 to a month helps us a lot. You can find a link in the description below. Like, share, and subscribe to our channel, and punch the bell icon for updates on our latest shows, and leave us some comments. We enjoy reading them and answer any questions you might have. This is Tom Rayleigh, together with all the members of our gaming club, inviting you to journey with us once again into the darkness for another adventure into the universe of H.P. Lovecraft and the Call of Cthulhu role-playing game. Until next time, good luck and good gaming.